Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today as we begin a set of videos around a similar topic. What that topic is, I'll mention later. The real question is, why am I doing these now? Well, mostly because this month's God video, it being on the Inheritor itself, Iomedae. So, let's get into it, and walk through the life and legend of Aroden's former herald. But first, where can you find all the information on the Inheritor yourself? First, remember where everything started, that being with the book Gods and Magic, one for both 1E and 2E. The Iomedae really began to come into her own, however, with the second book of the Council of Thieves Adventure Path, titled The Sixfold Trial. This feat was, of course, doubled in Inner Sea Gods. More specifics to the legend were found in Faiths of Purity, and she found place all her own in plain adventures. And for less talked about deeds, we have the book The Divine Anthology, as well as Weapons Master Handbook and Paths of Purity, among many other small offerings. Iomedae was a member of the Shining Crusade against the Whispering Tyrant. Specifically, she was a member of the Knights of Osman, paladins whose patron was Aroden's former herald, Erasni. However, Erasni would be killed by the Whispering Tyrant during the battle. But instead of shatter the knight's hope, Iomedae cast down one of the Lich's top generals in response. This inspired the knights to continue fighting until they managed to seal away the tyrant for millennia. Iomedae became a hero and, after passing the test of the Starstone, the Herald of Aroden. Iomedae appears as she appeared in life, a cherished woman with short dark hair and sword scars present upon her face. She is typically dressed in armor of white and gold, both sword and shield in her hands, ready to fight. And when the fight actually does break out, her cloak turns red and armor adamantine silver. Of course, no description of her would be complete without mentioning her overwhelming presence, taking up a room wherever she goes. Which, I believe about now, will be the time to discuss today's first side tangent. The part of the show where the heroes of the past are always remembered. Today's first topic, Saints. There are various people who, like Iomedae, gave everything for their faith. And I have a short list of some names I found from across various Pathfinder books for those who are saints to both Aroden and now Iomedae. First off, we have Ilnia, who was the first saint of Iomedae, who was her squire before she took the test of the Starstone, and who would later create a fountain at the place where her own body fell. Saint Sernax was an oracle who made it her duty to return drowned sailors to their families, and has a shrine near King Togo. Likewise, the oracle Alika used her powers to save Kavosa from a great fire, with Iomedae appearing herself to declare her sainthood. And then we also have two from the Mendevian campaigns. We have Saint Argyle, a pauper who defended the people who fled Dresden, and Kidwell, who was one of the earliest paladins of the Mendevian Crusades. Iomedae is a feminine deity, not quote-unquote a masculine deity who happens to be female. She believes there is a place in society for women, and that place is on the battlefield. A blade in her hand is where she, and many of her followers, feel natural, and she will not stand by and let the old-fashioned or lecherous tell women otherwise. She is ever in search for evil which must be removed from the world, going to every battlefield she can reach, and sending her followers to every battlefield she cannot. She is the heir to Aroden. The day the god of humanity died, she took over as the Inheritor, leading those in need like he once did. To see where she is today, Aroden would most likely be proud. Unless, of course, he truly did only care about himself, but that's a discussion for another day. Like their deity, the followers of Iomedae also dress in white and gold. Or yellow, it's a worthy substitute. But it is not colors which shows devoted faith the most, but swords. Swords are often marked by the faith of their user, making it taboo to bury someone with a weapon unless it is broken or unusable. This leads to the most common relics of the faith being blades, and them all being able to trace the ways back to some of the church's greatest heroes. There is no such taboo against bearing armor, but most often you find they are passed on as well, so that might be for more practical purposes than pious. But regardless, what makes followers of Iomedae truly her followers is their sense of justice. And any follower able will find the nearest whispering tyrant or world wound to give their blades some use. Which brings us to our most devoted followers, Inheritor Knights, which are today's second side tangent. These are knights who pore over the many miracles Iomedae worked in her life, working to imitate some of these legendary feats. They spend their time studying the holy texts, which we'll be getting to soon, I promise, and training their skills and hearts to be a match to the Inheritor herself. Whether surviving being swallowed, whether hunting witches, flying enemies, or undead, whether it is allowing her allies to strike down ghosts, whether allowing one to reforge their broken swords, and even taking on the form of Iomedae herself, they devote everything to following the flowing cloak of the goddess. As for clergy comes together in circles, each numbering around 10 to 50 priests and knights. The leader of each circle is part of a higher ranking circle who reports up and up and up until reaching the top of the church. The highest authority is the first sword, the high priest who runs the circle consisting of the 14 second swords. Of course, the faith is not usually a sedentary one. Its mission to ever look for the evils of the world and snuff them out. Therefore, this is the most likely faith you will find marching down the road, working for the good of all, as opposed to staying cooped up in a temple safe and sound. They are the best, the paladins, the paragons, and they will not allow innocents to be hurt while they could have helped them. The temples of Iomedae function as barracks for knights, each built with a tower or a section which can be fortified, along with the noticeable pure walls. Arched doorways, stained glass windows are also pretty common within the churches. And of course, many of them were also once churches of Aroden before his death, now taken over by his Inheritor. For shrines, they are usually built in places where important battles or miracles took place. There are typically stone altars with a broken sword thrust through them, a remembrance for all those who fell. Iomedae's divine realm is Swordhome, on the second layer of heaven. It is filled with castles and keeps, with architectural inspiration from Aroden's former realm, of course. The location serves as a training ground, where archons and mortal souls alike work to ensure that they are ready for the next battle, because there will always be a next battle. Now, home stretch. Where is Iomedae's faith the most popular? As one who has achieved the Starstone, of course she has a place in Absalom, and as one who rose from churlish origins, even the devil-worshipping Cheliax still gives her respect. and even more so in places which were once Chillish colonies and puppet states: Andoran, Galt, Morthune, Nomothis, and Vidrian. Finally, as our Lady of the Crusade, she is most popular in Mendev and Lastwall, or was in the case of the last one. For holidays, she has a few, especially those inherited from Aroden. However, 3 of which are her own are the Day of the Inheritor, which is when the Church of Aroden officially joined that of Iomedae, and Remembrance Moon, which is made to honor those who fell during the Shining Crusade, the people who fought beside Iomedae in arms. And finally, the holy text is the Acts of Iomedae, a book which tells the legends of the 11 miracles in Iomedae's life. Considering how central they are to the faith, let's count them down. First, slew a failed beast and saved her allies, undigested, from its stomach. Second, freed the city of Eldor from a coven of witches. Third, slew a gargoyle king in single combat, and in midair. Fourth, inspired a legion of half-dead knights to hold back a wall of wraiths. Fifth, killed one of the Whispering Tyrant's generals, the King of Morgs. Sixth, repaired her sword mid-battle with the Whispering Tyrant, in allowing her to keep fighting. Seventh, acted as a healer in Aroden's church in Absalom, which she would later take over after her ascension. Eighth, convinced a grave knight to take his own life, redeeming his soul in the process. Ninth, sacrificed her own blood to save virtuous knights from a vampire lord. 10th, protected the city of Cantarian for a year and a day from various kinds of shape changes, while running it during the Lord's absence. And 11th, having her cloak become a solid bridge as she crossed the chasm to the Starstone Cathedral. That's a pretty impressive list when you look and break it down. Which now brings us to our third side tangent, where we talk on more bookish pursuits. Again, for the final time, our friend the Majestic book of the Prime Ascendant, which is Iomedae as the Prime Commander, and focuses on her aspect as a leader. They paint her as a being of order, who fights the world's disorder. There's not as much a difference between that portrayal and her normal portrayal as a crusader, so there is not any feelings lost between the normal faith and the followers of this chapter. So the same cannot be said for some of those who are within Side Tangent 4. Well, half of it, because it is the expressions of a faith that are not connected to in-universe books. You've seen a few of these by now, you know how it works. First, the disgraces known as the Children of the Third Crusade. Descendants of the Third Mendevian Crusade, the ones which collapsed from infighting before anything was achieved, they publicly scourged their flesh in repentance of the failure, but then used the act that they do so to lord over others. Obviously not the most popular, but in a crusade you need all kinds. And while we are here, let's round things out with Iomedae's inspiring sword, which unfortunately does not have any in-universe books about it, but it did certainly help those who do wield a long that. It certainly does help faithful who do wield a longsword. It helps you become good enough to inspire your allies around you, and with even more practice, it allows you to accomplish this while you're actually attacking. And speaking of allies, for Iomedae's allies, she's on good terms with those like Abadar, Kid and Kaelin, Aristal, Stanray, Shaylin, and Torog, though they do not completely agree with each other. Her closest ally is, of course, her her fellow former follower of Aroden, Milani. Interestingly, there is little about her enemies. She just needs her allies to stand up against evil and injustice. And as for planar allies, first we have Peace Through Vigilance, a golden dragon who is said to be the offspring of Iomedae and the dragon god Apsu. He is known for taking charge of any task presented to him. Jing is an archon known as an Iomedae, appearing as a wheel made out of swords, on fire. He does not have to be on fire, but he says that not being on fire is uncomfortable. Then we have another saint. Saint Lair is an angel in the form of a childish woman with an eagle's head. She is the no-nonsense type, and the strike first, ask questions later type. Iomedae's herald is interesting. It once was an angel known as the Hand of the Inheritor. However, during the Fifth Mendevian Crusade, the hand was severely injured and, well, corrupted. Regardless of where he is now, the famed Queen Galfrey, who led Mendev through the entire time the world wound was opened, was awarded for her resilience and dedication by becoming Iomedae's new herald. Even though it was the players who did all the actual work, but what you gonna do? And that ends today's video. But we are not done with the Shining Crusades quite yet. As well they allowed Iomedae to reach the fame which matched her ascension, it also gave birth to the nation of Last Wall. See everyone next time.